Hello everyone, it's another year of Friday Night Photoshop. It's actually the 19th year that I've been doing this. I can't believe it's been that long. Tonight I'm just going to do a couple of simple things, some new things that Adobe has rolled out over the past summer, and a couple of these just over the past couple of weeks. And so I'm calling this New to Photoshop tonight. For some of you, the Generative Erase in Adobe Camera Raw may not be new because this came out this past summer. But it's new since we last met here on Friday Night Photoshop. And the Topaz filters in Photoshop are new as of about a couple of weeks ago. And so I'll be demonstrating all of these. So let's dive right in. So I've just opened this image in Bridge, and it's a Adobe Camera Raw is where I'm working in. And this is an older image. You see this little triangle down here? This tells me that I last processed this using an older engine of Adobe Camera Raw. So what I want to do to this image is to get rid of some elements that just don't help tell the story. And this is where I go up to this little tool up here. I wish I could make this bigger, but it's called the Remove tool. And I'm going to click on Generative AI, and I'm using this Remove little eraser here. And I want to show the overlay. And what I'm going to do is come out here, and what's nice now is we can change the size of the brush just by using the wheel on the mouse, which is really nice. So I'm just going to go right here, click and hold, do my best to wipe across. And of course, the way I've got my mouse here, I couldn't go all the way over. And I don't want that, and I don't want this down here either. Now I'm probably going to be cropping this side. Now, I would also like to get rid of this telephone pole. So I'm just going to swipe down here. I don't have to be too exact. It's okay if I go over. And in fact, it can be to your advantage if you go over because it knows more of what to fill with. And now the key is to hit the Remove button. And this is where you have to wait a moment. We're doing this in real time, so here is the result. Pretty easy. Very easy, as a matter of fact. And I like how that works. Now, if you like it, there are different iterations here. We can look at variation number 2. I don't really see a big difference in variation number 3. I don't like that. So I'll go back here, go back to 1. That's fine. Now, I just click up here to the edit to kind of come out of that. And now I just need to do some cropping. Now I had cropped this previously, so I'm going to go to the full frame, which is 2:3, and I'm just going to broaden this all out. And oh, look at that! I have part of the telephone pole up there, but that's okay. I just want to bring this down so that I have just what I want. And I think I like that. And I might just take the scale and bring this down just a little bit, like that. That's nice. And I do want to get rid of this little bit on the top. So I get to do this again. I can just come in here and just go blip and just say Remove. Now, of course, the smaller portions that you might want to remove will go quicker than that bigger one, like they had the telephone pole and all that. So you see, I just got rid of that. So that's clean now. Now, I could do some over here if I wanted. I could darken this, but I think some of this I can probably handle with a vignette. And I could do some more over in Photoshop. But the point is I'm just demoing the Generative Erase tool. And I just wanted to show you how that works. Let's do another one. I'm going to say done to this. I've been doing some football photos for my cousin, and I've been shooting these teams that are playing, and you get these nice shots of the players on the field, but you have these interfering things, these peoples, the other players and stuff like that. So what can we do about that? Let's open this up. Now these are all raw files straight out of the camera, and I could do some processing to this. Maybe I'll just hit auto and see if that does anything. Yeah, I kind of like what that did. And this is just classic Adobe Camera Raw, so we've gone over this lots of times in the past. So what I'm going to do is use this erase tool. And in this case, I would like to try and remove this player up here. And I'm giving it a little wider berth. And I'm going to say remove. And watch what happens. That's not too bad. Let's do it again. This time, I'm going to do it with this player over here. And I have to get his foot out. And I need to come over here and get his foot going all the way up and all of him. How's this going to work? Let's find out. And I'll hit remove. Now remember, they give you 3 different options. And we might find one here that we like better than another. We'll just take a look at all of them. Now, at first blush, that's not too bad. Let's look at version number 2. I didn't see a big difference. Here's version number 3. I'm not seeing a real big difference there either. So I'm pretty happy with what I see here. If anything, I wouldn't mind leveling the horizon just a little bit. So that's where I'd come over here to the crop tool, grab this, and just run a line and say, that's my horizon, straighten to that. And maybe I don't even want the blue up there. I'll just come in and be happy with something like that.
So I noticed one thing, Mike, and I wonder if you went back. On the player who's on his back in the white uniform, just behind his knee was the toe of a boot, and that got removed when you removed the leg. No, above the
Oh,
at
right
the
up in here?
top of it. Yep, right in there. There was a toe of that boot that got removed when the player's legs got taken out, and I'm wondering if that is something that can you go back and just get that back?
Let's try it. Let's see what it does. Not too bad. Here's version 2. It kept the lace. I kind of like that. And here's version 3. You know what? I'm going to keep the lace because this lace is kind of flopping out over here too. So there you have it. And from here we could do a little more cropping. We could do a little more straightening. But compared to how I started, if I do this, I think this will show us where we started with the extra people in there, just the legs. And this is where I'm ending. And so now if you're this player or if you're this player, this might mean more to you. I'm going to do this one more time. Sometimes we have an image like this where we'd like to isolate this player right here, this number 82. So first thing I'm going to do is come over here and crop this. And I want to make this a vertical. So I'll just immediately change the orientation. And then I'm going to bring this in to include just what I want, just him, like that. And of course I could do the usual processing, and maybe I'll make this look a little more punchy with the blues, and maybe I might want to make this be a little bit sharper. Maybe I'll give a little bit of softness to it. Okay. Anyway, again, that's all camera raw. We can do whatever we want there. But in this case, what I'm really demonstrating is the fact that I'd like to get rid of just some of these little things on the edge. As Kathleen Clemens used to say, is you have to go on border patrol to go and get rid of stuff that's undesirable. So I think that's pretty passable. Now, what if I could get rid of this whole player? Let's see what happens. Now, this is a pretty big ask when you think about it. Let's see what it does. Now, because there's more area, it's going to take a little more time, but that was still pretty quick. That's not bad. Now, if I wanted to be a little persnickety about this, I could get rid of this bench that's in here, And this goes down to here. And maybe I get rid of this. I'll hit remove. And there's one more bit I see I have to do. Almost got it right. But let's look at the other iterations. Yeah, there's that one. And then there's that one. I don't like all of them, but that's okay. We can do it again. Here's one thing I do want to get rid of, though. Right down there. That's not bad. I like that. We could look at other iterations of this, too. Maybe we like that one better. Here's number 3. I think number 2 is fine. Now, let's just see what we can do to clean this up just a little bit more. I don't know that I like that in there. And let's see if I can get that to be eliminated. Now, let's say you were taking pictures of a team and they'd like you to make trading cards, for instance. Or maybe they would like to just have you do isolated shots of each of the players actually out playing the game. You know what? I'm not going to get rid of that part there. I could deal with that in Photoshop. But that doesn't bother me a whole lot. That could look real. So now I'll do a little bit more vignetting, and maybe I could throw in a little more color here to make this look a little more vibrant. Maybe I warm it up just a little bit, and then maybe I just bring up the shadows just a little bit, because that is a little bit contrasty there. And it'd be nice to make this just a little bit sharper. So we'll just sharpen this up. Okay. So how sweet it is that you could take and isolate one player pretty quickly. So again, I'm showing the erase tool that's in Adobe Camera Raw. And if you haven't worked with it yet, I think this is something you should go take a look at, because it is, to me, pretty impressive. Now, I'm going to open this image. It's just a 4x6, but I'd like to show off a couple more functions. So I've just opened this into Adobe Photoshop, and what I'd like to show off the fact here is there's a fair amount of grain in this image. And that's to be expected, shooting at a high ISO and fast shutter speed and that. Now, if I come up here to Filter, I do have Topaz Labs installed. These are filters that I purchased and put in. But look at what's in here now. There's AI Denoise, AI Sharpen. And if I click on this AI Denoise, and we all have this now, we're going to be using Topaz Denoise. And so I click Denoise. This is pretty much a one click. And let's see how it handles this image. So if you look at this, I should have done it before and after, but the noise is pretty well gone. Now you might say that looks a little bit soft. So look at this. I'll go up and use AI Sharpen. So we choose Sharpen. And let's see what this does. Now if you have Topaz, you can still go ahead and use it. But not everybody has Topaz. Now that just came out, and that's pretty doggone good. If you look at this, how this image started, that's not bad. We could make a 4x6 of that, and nobody would know that this had this processing done to it. They would just look at this and say, oh, that's a nice sharp image of my son. And they would be happy with it. So let's just go save this. I'm going to go do a save as. And I'm going to call this just a JPEG. That's all I'm going to save it as. And what the heck, I'll max that out. We'll say OK. Now if I come back here to Bridge and look at where we started and where we've ended, let's just bring this up full screen. Now if you look here, there's a fair amount of noise in this image. Hopefully you can see that on your side through zoom. And if I go to this next image, hopefully you can see that that's a lot cleaner. Now I don't know if I can keep this. Yeah, here we go. So here's the before, if you will, and there's the after. Now you might say that's too much. It looks a little plasticky. Well, that's where I should probably have just made a layer, and then I could blend it back. But once again, just look at this image, full screen. I think if that was your son, or if this was your family member, I think that you'd be pretty happy about this. This would be a shot that most people are not going to be making out on the field, and I think that's not too awful. So now I'm going to open up this image, and we're going to do the same thing. We're just going to edit this and see what we can do to clean things up. Now, there's a lot going on in this image around the edges, and if I were to crop in on this, I think it might get a little bit too tight. So in this case, I'm just going to go ahead and start with the erase tool. I use the wheel on my mouse just to make the erase tool bigger. All right. Now, I could go ahead and do other things now, but for some reason, I'm kind of sold on the idea of do a little bit at a time. And I think this way, if you don't like this, then you could always try a different generation. And if I step through these just so you can see what's out there, they all look pretty good. I mean, I can see it's filling in with different grass. So now let's go up here and see what we can do about all these feet that are up here. And I would like to get those two as well. Do I want that 40 thing? I don't think so. You know why? Because your eye's going to go to that. And we want you to look down here. So we'll just say remove. And I see one more thing I have to get rid of. Not too bad, but it kept the 40. Isn't that interesting? And it kept it in all the iterations. So maybe I'll have to go back and do just that 40. But before I do that, I just want to take care of that little corner up there. I see the feet that are up there. I missed it the first time. All right, and let's see if we can maybe delete that. And then here we're going to click remove. And let's see what happens. There we go. We lost the 40 now. And I'm okay with that up top. That to me is fine. And what I'm going to do now is just a little more processing where I'm going to come here to effects and put in even more of a vignette and maybe even a little more texture to bring that up. And I think I just need to bring the contrast down, or actually I need to bring, well, the shadows are up all the way. So I'll bring this up just a little bit and then bring the whites down just a little bit. Now I can see how this looked before. I'll just toggle. Here's the before. Kind of flat, doesn't look too good. And then here's the after. And I think I would like to warm that up just a little bit. Like that. That is green grass, and the uniforms are pretty bright in color. And you could tell this guy was moving. Look at all this stuff coming up off the field. Oh, there's a leaf on the field. Want to get rid of that? That seems a little out of place, doesn't it? So I'll just do this area here. There you have it. And maybe I'll bring up the detail here just a little bit. I haven't done anything with the masking, so it's a pretty gritty image anyway, so I'm not too concerned about there being a lot of noise in here, and it's okay to make this a little bit sharper and bring up some color noise reduction. I almost want to do more vignette. Something like that. And now I'll open this. Now it's open, and I don't know that I need to do a whole lot with this image. There's not a lot of noise in it. I could actually sharpen it just a little bit more, but to be honest with you, I like it the way it is. So I'm just going to come here and say save as, and I'll just call this as JPEG because we started as the raw file. And there you have it. So if we want to just take a look at these, this is the first one that I did. Here's the next one. And here's this one that I just did now. And again, to the player, to the team, they might really like this. And it certainly puts more attention on the individuals because we don't have all the feet up here, we don't have the person standing here, we don't have all the other distractions that are really difficult to eliminate when you're shooting out on an open football field because the players are all out there. So as I said, it was going to be a short night. I just wanted to demo 3 things tonight. And so we talked about the Generative Erase in Adobe Camera Raw, and I just showed you the Topaz filters in Photoshop that you now have and that you can work with. And I would encourage you to go and take a look at those and see how they work for you. That's it for this Friday Night Photoshop. I look forward to seeing you again.